Hi everyone, today we're going mudlarking on the River Thames, and not only are there some fascinating finds, but there's a lot of cuteness going on down by the river, and for some it's just a little too exhausting. There's my friends the swans, and these guys have recently had cygnets. I was fortunate enough to be present at one of the hatchings, which I'm going to show you during the course of this video. It's quite a wonderful experience. It's such a beautiful day today, so very appropriately one of the first things I found is this sun-up orange drink bottle wedged in the mud. Sun-up drink for a sunny day. Can you see what I can see there just next to the pipe stem? There is an embedded pipe just here, under here. There's the bowl, there's the stem. Let's take it out. There we are, that's a very nice 18th century pipe. Should give us a little wash off. Another nice pipe here. It's another beautiful 18th century bowl. I've just found a, it looks like an old petrol cap, I think. It's rather nice. I shall give it a rinse off. See what it looks like when it's clean. Here's a vulcanite bottle stopper, still in the neck of the bottle, and on it it's got Lucozade. And here's another vulcanite bottle stopper here, but it looks like it has a different style top, almost plasticky. There we go. I'm going to wash it off and see what it says on the top. Okay, so it says Lucozade on it. So it is a vulcanite bottle stopper, but with a slightly more modern looking top for Lucozade. So I've just seen this little bit of pottery here with nutritive marrow pomade. That sounds a little bit like Dr. Zacchaeus Hunter's ointment. I shall be looking that up later when I get home. Nutritive marrow pomade. I'm not sure if I'd want to put it on my face if it's got marrow in it. There's a button here. I think it's a military button. Let's look at the back first to make a change. So it was made at P&S, isn't it? Firmin. 153 or something of the Strand. Anyway, so it's made on the Strand. And it's an interesting button with a castle on the front. I don't immediately know what that comes from, so I'll have to look it up, but it's got a castle on the front, so some form of military button. Just seen a button down here. Here he is. And let's see what's on it. I can make out a crown, it's probably something military, but I can't actually read what's on there. I'll have to wash it off and look later. I'll give it a rub on my jeans and see if that makes it any easier. I still can't make it out, so I'll have to take it home and look through the magnifying glass. As well as much cuteness today on the Thames foreshore in the form of ducklings, goslings and cygnets, the likes of which I'm going to share with you at the end of this video. In contrast, we also have a button from a not-so-cute institution. I love finding buttons because you do find that behind a tiny button there's often a very, very big story, and these two buttons that we found today are no exception, particularly this one. I couldn't read what it said at first, but after looking at it through the magnifying glass, I realised that it says Milbank Prison. There's the crown in the middle, and it's a pewter button. Rather damaged, and it's not much to look at all. But Milbank Prison was a notorious penitentiary in the 19th century, built in 1816, and it was closed in 1890. And this small button would have come off of the uniform of one of the guards. Milbank Penitentiary was built in 1816 and closed in 1890. Originally, it was built in a hexagonal shape, and the guards were to sit in the centre and view all the cells, thereby giving the illusion of constant surveillance. You can see this distinct shape of the prison taken from an air balloon in the 19th century. Life was very grim at Milbank. Prisoners were not to speak to one another or to socialise with each other for at least the first half of their sentences. Some were made to wear masks so that they couldn't see each other, and prisoners were made to use a treadmill or to carry out repetitive and mundane tasks for hours on end. In the 19th century, Henry James, a novelist, visited the prison and in his book described it as lying there, sprawling over the neighbourhood with brown, bare, windowless walls, truncated pinnacles, and a character unspeakably sad and stern. So how did a button from Millbank Prison wash up in southeast London? There are two possible scenarios. One of the functions of Milbank was that it was a holding facility for convicted prisoners whilst they were waiting to be transported to Australia. After a while, prisoners waiting for a place on a ship were transferred to spend time on the prison hulks in Woolwich until their transportation was ready. In fact, it is said that the Australian slang term POM is an abbreviation of Prisoner of Milbank. So could this button be from the guard escorting prisoners on the river from Milbank to the prison hulks? The hulks were old merchant ships and naval vessels converted into floating prisons. A second possibility is that in 1822, Milbank prison was evacuated for several months due to an epidemic of disease due to marshy site it was built on. Dysentery, scurvy, scrofula and fevers of the worst description swept through the prison, and so the male prisoners were transferred to the prison hulks also at Woolwich. Conditions were dire. James Hardy Vaux, who was a prisoner on the prison hulk Retribution in the early 1800s, described the routine, and he mentions a guard. Every morning at 7 o'clock, all the convicts capable of work, or in fact all who are capable of getting into the boats, are taken ashore to the warren, in which the Royal Arsenal and other public buildings are situated, and there employed at various kinds of labour, some of them very fatiguing. And while so employed, each gang of 16 or 20 men is watched and directed by a fellow called a guard. These guards are commonly of the lowest class of human beings, wretches devoid of feeling, ignorant in the extreme, brutal by nature, and rendered tyrannical and cruel by the consciousness of the power they possess. There's still a bollard near the site of Milbank prison which was used to moor boats which would transfer convicts downstream to Woolwich Arsenal. And the Tate Britain is now on the site of the prison. Now for the second button. And this button is from the military uniform of a soldier in the Inniskilling's 6th Dragoon Guards, I think that's how you say it. And it dates between 1855 and 1922. And on it is the Enniskillen Castle in Northern Ireland. Now the 6th Inniskillen Dragoon Guards were a regiment in the British Army. And I imagine this one probably dates back to the First World War. You can see the castle there. And interestingly, I also found along the same stretch of foreshore, but not on the same day, a pipe bowl featuring again the Enniskillen Castle from Northern Ireland, obviously commemorating the 6th Dragoon Guards. So I wonder if the regiment spent a little bit of time in southeast London at some point, losing their buttons and smoking pipes.